1969 Dodge Charger 500. Despite all its showroom appeal, the 1968 Charger RT, inspired by NASCAR, couldn't beat the Fords on the oval track. Wind tunnel testing revealed that its tunneled rear window caused lift, and the recessed grille increased drag. The boxy roofline also created significant rear-end lift at high speeds. In response, Dodge went back to the drawing board and redesigned the Charger, adding a flush-mounted grille. Instead of reworking the entire rear panel, the automaker added a flush rear window panel over the taillights, which solved the problem. Although the model was named after NASCAR's minimum production requirement for homologation, only 392 units were produced, equipped with the 440 Magnum engine, standard Torque-A-Flight transmission, and features from the Charger RT. A version with the 426 Hemi was also developed by Chrysler, aimed specifically at racing. 1962, Pontiac Catalina 421 Super Duty. Even before introducing the 421 Super Duty V8, Pontiac had already established itself as a dominant force in NASCAR, winning 7 out of 44 races in 1960 and 30 out of 52 races in 1961. However, once Ford, Chevrolet, and Chrysler increased their engine displacements to over 400 cubic inches, Pontiac had no choice but to respond in kind. On the street, the 421 Super Duty produced 405 horsepower and 425 pound-feet of torque, accelerating from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 5.4 seconds. By 1963, Pontiac pushed the envelope further with its infamous Swiss cheese Catalina, which featured a lighter, hole-drilled frame to reduce weight. 1963 Plymouth Sport Fury. Before the Hemi stormed NASCAR, Chrysler had actually launched another 426 cubic inch V8, the Max Wedge, offered in Dodge Ram Charger 426 and Plymouth Superstock form. First introduced in 1962 as the Max Wedge 413, its bore was enlarged to approximately 4.25 inches to meet NASCAR and NHRA rules, capping displacement at 7.0 liters. True to its name, the Max Wedge featured wedge-shaped cylinder heads and generated up to 425 horsepower, depending on options and compression ratio. Chrysler made the Max Wedge available in all its B-body models, making it a crucial early step in the development of the muscle car concept we know today. 1964, Ford Fairlane Thunderbolt. Although the Galaxie was a consistent contender on the NASCAR track, it proved too heavy to be a true threat. Alongside the lightweight-bodied Galaxie, Ford built 100 original race-ready Fairlane Thunderbolts. Under the signature teardrop hood was Ford's 427 cubic inch FEV8, officially rated at 425 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. However, actual output was estimated to be closer to 600 horsepower. Combined with weight-saving features like plexiglass windows, fiberglass panels, and the removal of unnecessary equipment, this allowed the car to go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 4.7 seconds. 1961 Ford Galaxie Starliner. Before Ford introduced the 427 FE and Cammer engines, the Blue Oval raced with the 390 V8 on oval tracks. On the street, the base engine delivered 300 horsepower and 375 pound-feet of torque with hydraulic lifters. However, Ford also offered a dealer-installed option. A 3-2-barrel manifold and carb setup were shipped in the trunk, which raised output to 401 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque in the 6V Thunderbird special-equipped Galaxie. By 1962, Ford discontinued the aerodynamically shaped Galaxie Starliner, leaving only the convertible coupe body for NASCAR. To counter drag-related issues, Ford bolted the Starliner roof onto a Sunliner convertible body and called it the Starlift, but the concept was scrapped after just one race appearance. 1963, Ford Galaxie 500 R Code. Back in the 1960s, racers campaigned Ford's Galaxie in everything from NHRA and NASCAR to endurance and touring car races. So the dirt oval track was just one of many places where it proved its performance potential. Although the 427 cubic inch FE pushrod block didn't carry the same legendary status as the Ford Camry, it was still a formidable contender. It helped Ford secure 23 manufacturer wins in 1963, with Dan Gurney winning the Riverside 500, Tiny Lund taking victory at the Daytona 500, and Don White claiming the USAC Drivers' Championship. 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 429. After NASCAR banned Ford's 427 SOHC V8 engine from competition, the Blue Oval responded by introducing the Boss 429. Much like how the Boss 302 was focused on the SCCA, the new semi-hemispherical 429 V8 engine, based on the Ford 385 platform, was developed for NASCAR racing, while also serving as a big block alternative to the small block, under 5.0-liter Boss 302 Mustang that had been bred for Trans Am competition. Despite its larger displacement, the Boss 429 produced 375 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque. On the oval track, Ford vehicles powered by the Boss 429 secured around 26 wins during the 1969 season, and likely would have continued their success if it weren't for factory budget cuts that ended support the following year. 1966 Plymouth Belvedere Hemi. After Chrysler dominated the 1964 season with the 426 Hemi, NASCAR banned the engine from competition until it was made available to the public, requiring a street version to recertify the engine for racing. As a result, Chrysler introduced street versions of the Charger and Belvedere with the Hemi in 1966, officially homologating both the body and the 426 V8 engine. Equipped with dual 4-barrel carburetors and a solid lifter camshaft, the street Hemi was rated at 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque. The return of the engine paid off dramatically on the oval, with Richard Petty achieving a streak of 10 straight wins and 27 total victories out of 48 races in the 1967 season. 1969 Ford Torino Talladega. The Ford Torino Talladega was purpose-built by Ford to improve its NASCAR competitiveness and was only sold to the public due to homologation rules. With a sleek, extended front end, flush-mounted grille, and a narrowed rear, the car's center of gravity was lowered to enhance aerodynamics. Early versions were equipped with the FE 427 side-oiler engine, though by the end of the season, many teams had switched to the Boss 429. The Talladega delivered exactly what Ford had hoped for, winning 29 Grand National races over the 1969 and 1970 NASCAR seasons, more than any other model. Despite its racing success, the street-legal version of the Talladega came equipped with the new 428 Cobra Jet engine. Though powerful and reliable, the Cobra Jet was designed more for street use than track domination. 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona Hemi. The legendary Dodge Charger Daytona needs no introduction. Created in response to the underwhelming performance of the Charger 500, this winged marvel was built for one purpose only: to win high-profile NASCAR races. Its pointed nose cone and massive rear wing gave it aerodynamic advantages, allowing the car to accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 5.2 seconds and become the first car to break the 200 miles per hour barrier on an oval track. The street version was available with either the 440 Magnum or the 426 Hemi V8, the latter proving to be a dominant force in NASCAR. After the introduction of the Daytona, Dodge drivers won 7 of the last 11 races of the season. However, Ford still pulled ahead overall with a commanding 26 victories that year. Do you own any of these cars? Leave a comment so we can share more together. And now don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next videos.